Folks, I am incredibly excited about today's show, especially for those of you who are fans of Donald Trump in the audience. And I know you're out there because you like to watch me, you like to hate watch me. For those of you who are hate watching right now, one of your favorite people on the planet next to me, JoJo from Jerz, will be joining me today. But first, but first, let me just reach out to the folks who actually tune in because they like to watch me. And for you guys, um, if you're like me, your head is spinning a little bit because it seems like every day, every week, we are lurching from one crisis to the next. Every single day, every single week. And you feel like, you know, can this guy not be normal? Can he just have a day without having a beef with the Pope, without, pissing off Catholics, without insulting and threatening an entire nation? Can we just have one normal day, please? But no. So, since we don't, it has become increasingly important to have independent media voices out there, like mine, like my guest for today, because we refuse to sane wash the insanity. We won't do it. And to, if you're lucky enough to catch me on a Thursday, JoJo and I have a show. It's called the Joe and BDD Show. And it's Thursdays at 4 o'clock on Substack, and we just churn out the issues and we keep it real and we keep it raw. And Joe, by the way, also has her own network, of which she is I believe, I want to say, the founder or co-founder. She'll clarify that for us in a minute. And so today we're going to get into JD Vance's major fails. We're going to get into um, Donald Trump's disastrous handling of Jesus Gate, let's call it. And we're also going to get into the resignations of Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzales, and why the Democrats care and Republicans only care if it happens to be a Democrat. So I hope we got a lot of stuff to get into. So I hope you're ready to get into it, because I am. Let's go. Incredible person, incredible human being.
Yes,
famous. Yes. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Defiant Weekly. I'm your host, Majid Padelin, aka BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad Defiant. And with us today is my favorite co-host with the co-most and co-founder or founder of the Siren Network, my pal, my buddy, the illustrious, the awesome, the exquisite Joanne Carducci, aka JoJo from Jerz.
Wow. Wow.
That was all extemporaneous, by the way.
That was so impressive. Like, I need you to write my obituary and my headstone. That's
how you doing, Joe?
Yeah. I'm well, it's a mixed bag these days. I meant to compliment you on your shirt, by the way. I like your shirt. That's a good shirt. Like a throwback.
I did get it from Marshall's. Very cheap. It was in the clearance thing. Yeah. And it does have that retro vibe. Yeah. That's what I was going for, like kind of bowling-ish. Yeah, Swingers. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that's an intro. That was somebody in the comments, Fried Samurai. Yeah, that was an intro. Yeah, I'm good. It's nice to have like a supersize week with you. And it's co-founder. I am co-founder of the Siren. I had this epiphany in August of 2024, before we lost everything, to start something that didn't exist. And if you remember the peanut butter and chocolate commercials for Reese's, I was walking around a corner. I don't know if I'm peanut butter or chocolate. Let's just say I was holding the peanut butter, and Sam was walking around the other corner, Sam Ford, and he was holding the chocolate, and his chocolate got in my peanut butter, and the Siren was born. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
if it was anyone else, I would have tried to put a naughty spin on that, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Sam. It's
No, right.
Sam.
Yes.
Love Sam.
Love
Love
Sam.
Sam.
Love
Yeah.
Sam. And there's many decades in between us, in age. He's much closer to my son's age. He's only 5 years older than Leo. So,
Oh wow. Oh,
yeah.
by the way, how is Leo's baseball
Oh,
doing? I know he's been playing, right?
yeah, he got turf toe, which is
Oh,
such a stupid name for something that is really painful. But he is still playing through it because it's not much you can do. But he started at third last game, and they had a terrible game. But we rallied. We came back from 10-0 to 10-5, and then lost. But I love me some little league baseball, and I know that like it's a slog for a lot of parents, and then all of a sudden you get to their sophomore year in high school and you're like, oh, it's going to be over in 2 years, and then it gets all emotional. So
you
yeah,
gotta enjoy it while
I
you're
agree.
and it looks like you're doing it. You're in the moment. You are fully like baseball mom. That's so
100%.
cool. Yeah.
I will, if I don't have to miss a game, I try not to miss any games ever. Both my kids play. Abby plays softball, and I get really upset when I have to miss games, so I try not to. No, that's a cool
Trust me,
thing.
that is gonna matter. They do actually remember that stuff. It does matter
Yeah.
down the road. So good
Yeah.
good on you, my friend.
Oh, I thank
Um,
you.
let's go ahead and throw this graphic up on the screen there. Vance's total collapse. Let me just say, next to Donald Trump, there are very few people who I reserve like the extreme loathing for. People like to say, that we have TDS, and sure,
Yeah.
my TDS might be acting up from day to day. It might spike, but JD Vance is that guy who, when he is having a tough time, I love that for him because
No.
Donald Trump is one thing, right? He's deranged and he's a liar and he's sick, but you almost feel like he doesn't know any better. He
Mm.
should know better. He's what is he 80 yet?
Yeah, I think this is his 80th, maybe this June, because his birthday's right around mine. I'm not sure.
He's an old man and should know better, but
Yeah.
he doesn't. But
Oh.
JD Vance, on the other hand, well, the reason I despise this dude is because he stands for nothing. You
No.
remember what was it he said about Donald Trump back in 2016?
That he was like Hitler.
Yeah,
America's Hitler.
yeah.
Yeah.
Among a bunch of other things, he was not a fan of Donald
Mm-mm.
Trump. And
Mm-mm.
suddenly he's his running mate. Now
Mhm.
he's pushing the lie about well, he was pushing the lie about they're eating the cats and the dogs, and then
Yep.
he came out and he said, sometimes I need to create stories so people can pay attention. So now we see who the hell he is.
Mhm.
That's what I don't. So JD Vance will look right in the camera and lie with the confidence of a sociopath.
Yep.
No remorse, no shame or guilt, nothing.
Yep.
Confidence, brimming, pontificating, and yeah, he's so full of shit. I can't stand this dude. So he is having a ridiculously horrible week, and I love it.
Yeah.
Um, we have so to brief summary, we've got Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzales, Democrat and Republican, both resigned yesterday, essentially for the same thing. Republicans, they're gonna be Republicans. They're gonna hypocrite. JD Vance, he had an empty arena yesterday. He failed with Iran. He killed the Pope. That's on his ledger.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And speaking of Pope, I don't know what this guy's deal is. He's got delusions of grandeur. One day he's a president, next day he's a pope, next day he's a doctor, you
Yeah.
know, or a stand-up comedian. But we're going to
Mm.
get into all that stuff and the
Mhm.
war too, the war and the blockade, and we'll see what we can fit in. Um, but if this is your first time here, please make sure you hit the subscribe and like buttons.
Mhm.
Subscribe is a little red box in the lower right hand corner of your screen, and the like, it's a thumbs up. You know what to do. So, Joe,
Yeah.
I thought we would start off with Donald Trump and his his weird religious. Uh, he's not a religious guy, right?
No,
No,
not
I mean,
not unless you count worshiping every Sunday at Our Lady of the Perpetual Mulligan. No.
what was the thing you called the back nine?
Yeah, well, there's
Uh,
that. There's Our Lady of the Immaculate Back Nine, and there's Our Lady of the Perpetual Mulligan. I've given this some thought. Yeah, that's where he spends his every Sunday worshiping and paying homage to Jesus Christ, our
yeah,
Savior.
so he is. Uh, he's not a religious guy. He can't name a Bible verse if his
No.
life depended on it that he likes. But these days now, he is trying his hand at different religions. The other week it was Islam. He's like, you know, open. Let's see. Okay, he says, "Open the fucking straight." I checked what time it was.
I saw that. Yeah, 10
Open the
minutes
fucking
late.
straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. So I am not a Catholic or a Christian, but I am Muslim. And I do know that open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, is not in any of our prayers, right? It's not.
Shocker.
And I know my prayers both in English and in Arabic, mind you. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Wow.
I my grandmother started teaching me when I was 3 years
Oh my
old.
God.
So yeah.
What? Your
So
grandmother speaks Arabic?
no, she knew the prayers in Arabic. God rest her soul. She's no longer with us.
Oh,
Um,
rest in
but
peace.
but yeah, she did teach us. So Donald Trump the other day posted this picture. What are your thoughts on this on this thing?
Oh, I don't know about you, but doesn't everybody's doctor's hands glow? My doctor rolls in robes with glowing hands. And by the way, should we check in on Jon Stewart? Because I'm worried about Jon Stewart's health because it's
You know,
uncanny.
it's funny you said that, Jon Stewart, because I did catch Jon Stewart on the Daily Show the other day, and he looked at that
Yeah.
figure and thought that looked like him. However, to me, I don't know, that kind of resembles, I hate to say it, but Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh,
Yeah, look at it. Look at it. It's the
yeah.
same, yeah, same white hair, same facial structure. Anyway, we're
The
not
whole
going to
thing.
focus too much on that. This
No.
was bizarre. And
Yes.
honestly, if I'm being honest, it's not over the top as far as Donald Trump is concerned, because he loves that AI stuff. He loves when somebody photoshops his
Oh
head
yeah.
on Rocky,
Mm.
Rambo, what is it? Rambo, all of the super macho alpha things he likes.
Mhm.
But this seemed to strike a different chord
Yeah.
in like not our side, not the liberals, but Republicans and people who take their religion seriously. And they
Yep.
were like, hey, that's blasphemous, bro. But I feel like he's done that before.
I mean, I'm old enough to remember during the first season of this shit show when he referred to himself as the second coming of Jesus.
Oh, the chosen one.
That's right. Like I think sometimes there's so much, right, that we forget, but
Mhm.
none of this is surprising. And the thing is, like Marjorie Taylor Greene will say that he's changed. But this is, like you said, this is not new for Donald Trump. It's hilarious to me because Gavin Newsom his press office started parroting these things by putting Gavin Newsom on it, like on a T-Rex with two like guns blazing and like a 12 pack, and MAGA got all upset, like this is not
Yeah.
serious. And then he turns around and posts himself as Jesus. I'm sorry, as a doctor. And by the way, if that's a doctor, then I'm a natural born blonde who never fucking swears. Okay, because yeah, and what is floating in the sky? Like it's like what the thing in the middle is that like Demogorgon? Like what?
It
What?
looks like a demon, some
Right?
kind of,
And
yeah.
then what? There's speculation. Oh, that's hilarious.
So yeah, the memes are off the
Yeah.
charts, right? There's way too many memes. I couldn't
Oh,
collect them all, but this one I thought was funny. Please
funny.
label the following symbols: man, woman, camera, TV, and doctor.
That's so
Is the
good.
last one. That's clever.
good.
And it says A++++.
Yes, and then he signed it.
He's so-
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was on Piers Morgan today. It's available on YouTube now, which is hilarious. But
Oh, wow.
one of the panelists who is MAGA said, because they had a psychiatrist on, the psychiatrist described Donald Trump as a malignant narcissist. And one of the MAGA panelists is like, I can't even believe he would say that. Donald Trump hasn't given you any evidence whatsoever of the fact that he's a malignant narcissist. And I'm like, dude,
No.
he just posted a meme of himself as Jesus Christ.
Wait, maybe they didn't understand what malignant narcissist
Yeah.
means.
Yeah, that's entirely possible, isn't it? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, it just to the sidebar on that, right? Like, it is offensive. MAGA is freaking out because this is a person who has long professed to be devout. He has long professed to be the savior of Christianity, the savior of God. This guy, he tear gassed peaceful protesters to take Ivanka's Bible purse out and shake it in front of a church that was boarded up that he didn't go to. So it wasn't his Bible, wasn't his church, didn't matter. He's long cloaked himself in religion as a tool, as a prop, as a a means to an end. None of this is true. This is a person who is a thrice married serial philanderer, who's a pathological liar, who has bragged about sexual assault, mocked a disabled reporter. He's attacked a war hero for being captured. This is a person who calls women dogs. He incites violence at every turn. He incited a deadly insurrection. He's xenophobic, racist, bigoted, sexist, hateful. He stokes division constantly. His rhetoric is angry and evil and meant to, separate people. This is a person who is so devoid of morality. This is a person who has been broken from day one. At 5 years old, he was throwing rocks at babies in neighboring yards in their cribs. I mean, this is a deeply, deeply broken creature. And to say that he's been using religion as a way to advance his own agenda, when none of that has ever been true. This is a person who doesn't pray, he doesn't believe he's going to heaven, he doesn't go to church. He's the antithesis of devout. He posted on Easter and then on Orthodox Easter messages of genocide. Okay, again, this is not new. Okay, the difference between Donald Trump season 1 and Donald Trump now is that he's no longer trying to even pretend to court voters, because he knows no matter what he does, he's never going to seek re-election again. He's never going to need votes again. Even if he stays, he doesn't need votes again. And there are no adults adjacent in the room. There are no grown-up infused people who will now say, no, you can't do that. No, you can't threaten genocide. No, you can't, blockade a strait. This is the only difference. This is who he is. He's amoral. He's depraved. He is truly deeply broken. And I'm so tired of him co-opting religion and calling himself devout, because that picture of himself as Jesus Christ, that epitomizes his disdain for religion, for God. He sees himself above all of it.
There's so much you said there that is like, I don't know if you saw, but I raised my hands like, can I get an amen? It was really, really you liked my intro for you. I loved what you just did right there. How you just indicted, I feel like anytime they talk about this jackass on TV, someone like you should be there to read that fucking list of shit against him. But yeah, I think it's interesting how you pointed out that he is not running for anything, right?
No.
But he is consistently alluded or teased or whatever you want to say. He's joking. They love to say when he says things that upset a lot of people, they're like, oh, he was joking. He was joking.
Yeah.
He's the guy that you say he says what he means, and that's why you like him. But then when he says something that is offensive, he'll deny it. He'll say somebody else posted it. I don't know anything about it. He'll walk back his comments, but he's not running for office. Constantly says that he will have a third term in office. So if he's not running for office, what does that mean to you? What he's doing everything. He's putting up. He's setting up the White House as like a castle, right? Gold, what do they call that gold stuff? The gold
leaf.
gold leaf, gold embellishments, whatever. He's adorning the entire White House with that gaudy shit. He's
Yeah.
putting up an arch, which is
Yeah.
a monument to himself. He literally sees himself as a king. MAGA was trying to clown us and say that, oh, what do you guys have? There's no King's March for? Who's the king? Well, he's the guy. He hasn't revealed himself yet. The only thing we can see is that he is an emperor with no clothes. But I am Concernicus that his behavior is indicative of someone who is not planning on leaving office when his time is up. What do you think?
I agree 100%. And the thing about Donald Trump, we're 10 years into this. People who say don't take him literally. That's unfortunately not the actual truth. Donald Trump says what he's gonna do. He just teases it out. He's dangling a reality that he knows on his face. People would say, that's ridiculous, that's insane, you can't do that, he would never do that. And then here you are on January 6th looking at a pop-up gallows, with Mike Pence's name on it at his behest, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? You end up with, when Brian Karem asked him, will you leave office if you lose? And he never said yes. He said, we'll have to look at it and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, he was forecasting. And I believe,
I think he said, if the election is fair, something
right,
like that.
Something to that effect. Right. And of course, where are we now? It's 2026. And he's still saying the 2020 election was rigged against him. And he's still trying to stack up proof to that end because he's insane. But this thing about the monuments and what he's doing to the White House, and there's a $377 million budget for renovations to the residence now. That's in addition to the ballroom and all the other crap, which is a factor of like 10 more than any other president's ever done. This is not a person.
Is that taxpayer? $377 million?
Yes.
Oh,
yep.
geez.
It is indeed. And the arch money is coming from some endowment. I forget what for. If somebody knows in the chat, I can't remember. It's coming also from tax dollars. But he's definitely not behaving like somebody who plans on leaving. And if he lives long enough, that's not me making any kind of threat. It's just me looking at, having eyes and ears and looking at his deteriorating health. If he leaves office, if he is a private citizen ever again, there's stuff on the other side of that is existentially threatening to him. There are lawsuits. There's still the Jack Smith investigation and all of those indictments. They are not gone forever. Eileen Cannon has done her best with the documents case. But there's a lot of stuff out there, including, some of the stuff that could be argued was not, protected right now, that the Supreme Court gave him wide latitude with, but crimes that he's committing as we speak. I think leaving office would be a tragedy for him in terms of the way that he's concerned. So I don't think he has any intentions of leaving. I don't know what Melania is doing right now, because it's really weird the way she's trying to distance herself from him in a certain way and throwing him under the bus. But I don't know what she knows that we don't. But yeah, no, I don't think he plans on leaving. And I also think, last part I'll say about this is that the monument and slapping his name on everything and gilding everything and paving over the rose garden, it's like he knows that his legacy is not one of merit and accomplishment. So it has to be just altering things and changing things and naming them after himself and leaving his mark in terms of destruction more than anything. And he confuses that with having an actual legacy of value and of worth. And I think that's why, in some way, that's part of the pathology behind a lot of this.
Indeed. And I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on on this stuff here, but so the other day somebody suggested that when he tried to say that he saw the picture as not as him as Jesus, but him as a doctor, somebody suggested that maybe behind the scenes someone suggest that the picture was doctored. And he misinterpreted it because he has a track record of doing that. So, for instance, when he says they're coming from insane asylums, the suggestion is that he's confusing seeking asylum with insane asylum. When he says, tell him it's a military incursion, he confuses that with excursion, like a little trip out to the grocery store, to the park, whatever. And then tell them the Jesus picture was doctored. I'm a doctor. It's hilarious.
It is hilarious. It is probably not that far from the truth.
And I don't know if you've watched The Pit yet. Have you seen The Pit?
No, but I know what it is, and that's hilarious too.
It's a great show. I love the show. Yeah, my doctor is not yet up on the latest biblical garb. So let's see. So he's also he's riffing with the Pope. Like, this guy is not only an American, he's like the first American. Is he the first American Pope ever?
Yes. Yep.
First American Pope ever. He's got a popularity, he's got an approval rating that's like way up there, and Spanky is in the negative numbers.
Oh yeah.
Why is he beefing with the Pope? Like, doesn't he have enough shit to concern himself with?
One would think, but the Pope, in such an unpopely like way, doesn't approve of war. Shocker. A Pope who doesn't want mass death, who doesn't want innocent children being bombed in their schools. A Pope who advocates for peace. I don't know. Didn't Jesus advocate for peace? I don't remember Jesus being a warmonger. So the thing about the Pope, yeah, the Pope is popular. That's exactly right, Sharon. The Pope, this is Donald Trump again. This is Donald Trump to a T. The Pope outshines him. The Pope has legitimacy. The Pope is liked. This is the origin story of so much of his grievance, right? Like, whether it's Gavin Newsom, whether it's Rob Reiner, whether it's Bob Mueller, it doesn't matter. Anyone who has legitimacy and has a legacy and has supporters and people who like them, anyone who's popular overshadows him, and it insults him because he knows he can never rise to that level because he can't earn it. Because deep down, and we could argue whether he's a narcissist or whether he's deeply insecure. I honestly, sometimes I think he fluctuates between the two. I think deep down, he knows he was born on third base. He has accomplished nothing. He has no real value. He has no real merit. He is the wizard behind the curtain. And so people like the Pope, they make him feel worse about himself. So he has to lash out at them like a bully in any, 8th grade class. That's who he is. He's a bully at the end of the day. But yeah. I love the Pope. He's a White Sox fan. He's from Chicago.
There you go. You're getting good at that.
Over down by there. Yeah. Go get some Jardinier. Yeah. I love the new Pope. And again, the most, I think one of the funniest statements that Donald Trump has ever said is the Pope is weak on crime. Like,
oh yeah, wait, I have that somewhere. Yeah, go ahead.
Crime.
Go ahead. Let's see, where do I have that? Oh, here we go, right here. Pope Leo is weak on crime, and here's the craziest thing about this is that whole thing, this whole page is one post.
Oh my God.
Like, dude.
I haven't seen this.
Isn't that crazy?
When was that?
This was the 12th.
A couple days ago. Oh my God.
I want to say Saturday. Was that the same day?
I heard somebody summarize it, but I hadn't actually seen it. And I heard Trump say out loud that he was weak on crime. Terrible for foreign policy. He's the Pope. He's not a cabinet member. He's not a diplomat. He's the Pope.
He's not the police commissioner.
No, he's not the Fed chair.
Yeah.
He's the Pope. And this is another thing that just looks unhinged. I mean, It just looks, it's not the first Pope he's fought. It's not the first Pope. It's not the first priest of any kind. You remember the priest who did the eulogy? We were talking about this on our last episode and we couldn't remember her name.
Yes.
And he went after her because she was talking about being kind to like the stranger.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too, this is a lot, this is the other thing. The thing we were talking about religion, like just like the military, just like any kind of code, any kind of code of ethics or morality, anything that governs your behavior that doesn't let you just take, because that's what he is. He grabs what he wants, right? I mean, he said it out loud. He grabs by them pussy. He doesn't wait. He doesn't ask. This is his philosophy for everything. And anything that constrains that, whether it's morality, whether it's religion, whether it's a code of conduct, whether it's the military, whether it's the Constitution,
Hmm.
he hates it because he's a toddler who can't do rules. He's a toddler at snack time who's got a dirty diaper and wants his applesauce right now. And God damn it, if you won't give him his applesauce, he's going to go grab the applesauce and squeeze it all over the room. Like, this is who he is. And so the Pope, again, represents constraints. Okay,
Mm.
represents an adherence to something larger than self. This
Yeah.
morality, this religion, this promise to society to do good unto others. That is flies in the face of everything Donald Trump wants. And so he hates it. That's one of the fundamental core parts of who he is.
I think you're right on the money there. And also, earlier when you were talking about him being envious of the attention that
Mm,
others are getting, so it occurs to me, right? I feel like that 12th, April 12th. I think that might have been Saturday,
okay.
right? Let's just say,
Yeah,
um,
that sounds right.
JD Vance at the time was in
Mhm.
Iran, busy failing at those negotiations, right? And
Yeah.
what is Donald Trump's next move while JD Vance is in Iran, like doing some supposedly serious negotiations, maybe just, pantomiming it or whatever. But what is Donald Trump doing? He's going to the UFC with our Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything so
Mm.
just uh, trashy? Let's call it
Yeah.
trashy. I can't think of a better word for it. I think trashy is the way to go. Like, dude, there are people who are dying. American service members, men and women of the military. There are Iranian civilians dying.
Mhm.
You know, and you're having a good old time at the UFC?
And
Like, seriously, George W. Bush, I hate that Donald Trump is so bad that I have to
mm,
occasionally resort to using George W. Bush as as a model of something good, right? But even
yeah.
George W. Bush was like, "Nah, I'm not going to play golf because we're at war." And that was a war, mind you, that his people lied us into, right? So I
Mhm.
am fully cognizant. I don't have any rose-colored glasses on. I know that George W. Bush and his whole administration were horrendous, but
Yeah.
that's old school horrendous. Old school horrendous,
Yeah.
by the way, is like new school is
Oh,
okay. Is new school, good
eh,
by
yeah.
today's standards.
It's new school doesn't even make a blip in the news, right? Like, this is,
Yeah.
you said it. You said it so astutely, and correctly. There are 13 at least families in this country right now who will never get to hug their loved ones again. They'll never get to hold them. They'll never get to break bread with them. They'll never get to hear their voices. They'll never get to watch them open the door and walk into their homes. There are children whose parents are gone, parents whose children are gone, husbands who've lost wives, wives lost husbands, etc. Right? Best friends are out there without their best friend. Those people are gone. They were sent home to this country in flag draped coffins because of an illegal, unconstitutional war that Donald Trump decided unilaterally to wage with our tax dollars and our troops. It is, in my opinion, and I believe I've heard other presidents say this, that it is one of the weightiest, if not the weightiest, component of their jobs as commander in chief to decide whether or not to risk human lives in
Mhm.
conflicts here or abroad. Right? This
Yeah.
is an incredibly heavy decision. You're talking about taking someone's loved one away. Um, to know, and by the way, hundreds of other troops are injured. We don't
That's
even
right.
know the extent to which, because they're not telling us all the truth about all of
Nope.
this. Can you imagine what those families would be thinking, feeling, going through to know that their loved one came back in a coffin and that the parties who sent them there are hanging out with a bunch of celebrities, in ringside watching an MMA fight.
It's
I,
obscene.
it would fill me with incandescent rage
Yeah.
and disgust, because it would make me feel like that person didn't give a fuck about my loved one sacrifice, the ultimate price for our country, and they're sitting there ringside at a fucking fight. It's just it's beyond the pale, and it's disgusting, and he's the worst representation of a human being in the history of my lifetime. He is every deadly sin rolled into one saggy, senile, septuagenarian sociopath psycho. And I'm fucking sick of it. I'm absolutely fucking sick of it. And Marco, elf ears, Rubio,
Yeah.
go fuck yourself, because you said it about JD Vance. Marco Rubio knows better. He knows better, but what he cares about more than anything else is proximity to power, and whatever speck of a soul he once had in his body is long gone. So he's standing there next to Trump and normalizing all of this, glazing him constantly, and he knows better.
Who in your opinion gets the nod between Rubio and Vance? Who takes over the mantle from Trump once Trump is finished?
JD Vance is about as popular as a stomach bug.
Jock itch.
Right. People, when given the choice between
Crabs.
when given the choice between a Novocaine-less root canal and spending 5 minutes with JD Vance, most people would probably take the dental work. I mean,
In a
JD
heartbeat.
Vance, right? He's insufferable. Nobody likes JD Vance. JD Vance went over to Hungary to campaign for Orban, and people were like, "This douchebag, I wasn't even going to vote, and now I'm voting against Orban just because I want to piss this couch fucker off." I don't think JD Vance is. I don't think anybody's flying a JD Vance flag. Marco Rubio is popular with Republicans. He's popular with MAGA. He has positioned himself well in that regard. He hasn't pissed the base off, and he's managed to still somehow, I don't know how, thread the needle where Republicans think he's still the adult in the room. And Hegseth is a rabid, feral frat boy day drunk. Like I can't.
War criminal.
War
I think you
criminal.
meant to
That's
say.
right.
Yeah.
War criminal who's settled cases of abuse with women as well.
I agree with you. I think out of Donald Trump's entire junk drawer of cabinet members, I think
That's funny.
I think I can't claim that credit for that, but I think Marco Rubio is like the closest to a normie as possible, but with that said, he stood by and signed off on all this bullshit. So he is, for all intents and purposes, if he ends up being the guy, I think he can be dismantled just by his complicit nature in this whole thing that has caused our prices to spike, has killed American service members, and has basically just destabilized I don't know if it's destabilized the region yet, but it could if it goes on, if it lasts longer.
Yeah, I mean, look what we've done to the world's economy. Like George Conway had this great clip, I think it was on MSNBC MS Now the other night, where he was talking about, like, I just can't believe that you're like one single sociopathic idiot can set the entire world's economy on fire. I mean, you're looking at countries in Asia who rely on the oil that comes through the Strait of, as Scott Besson called it, vermouth.
Yeah. Thank you. That's right.
But either way, I thought the Strait of Vermouth was in Manhattan, and I thought it was dry. Try the veal.
Oh man, this administration. I mean, this regime is
hey.
It's ridiculous. And at times infuriating, but it is also, I hate to say it, it's just kind of funny and just in its ineptitude. It's like
Yeah.
it's I can't even compare it to. It's like a parody of a parody, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But there's a study that just came out in all seriousness yesterday, the day before, talking about the number of people around the world who are on the verge of poverty now because of this war. The world
Mm,
that he's the ripple and tsunami effect of what this has done to prices, even in Europe, with among our allied countries, people don't have the means to withstand what's happening right now because these prices are driving prices for everything up, right?
yep.
It's not just gas and it's not just oil and it's not just fertilizer. And by the way, fertilizer, just think about the ripple effect from the price of fertilizer or
Yep.
the inability to get fertilizer in it, with the impact that's going to have on global economies, not to mention our own farmers we've already bailed out once because of
Food.
his tariffs,
Yeah.
right? Food supplies.
Yeah.
Like again, one evil, corrupt, felon idiot set the entire world on fire for a war he never explained, has no exit strategy from, has not won in any way, shape, or form, and doesn't, I don't think, has a plan to get out of at all.
And the disgusting thing about all of this is that these decisions are being made in a vacuum, not by people who know what it is to go from to live from paycheck to paycheck, not from people who even know what it means to have to take items out of your shopping cart because you can't afford once you get to the cash register. People
Mhm.
who don't know what it means to pump gas themselves, um, they're making these decisions because they are insulated
Mhm.
from the negative effects. These people who so, you know, bravely puff up their chest and say, be patriotic and spend a few dollars extra. Those few dollars extra per gallon, that's the difference between, eating 10 nuggets at night or eating six
Right.
nuggets. There are people who cannot afford these decisions that this administration is making, and it's sickening.
Yeah, just a few years ago, like my personal story, just a few years ago, on the after my now ex-husband and I split up, and I was working as a paraprofessional, I was making, like, honestly, after taxes, it was nothing less than $14 an hour. It's like barely minimum wage. And I was a single mom of two, and I didn't have work in the summer because I couldn't, because my kids needed to stay home because they weren't in school. And so if I worked in the school in the summer or worked any jobs in the summer, my kids would have been home alone. So I was trying to figure out how to just keep everything afloat. And for me at that time, I remember this, I'll never forget this. It makes me very, very insecure about money to this day. Abby
Mhm.
asked, we were driving past a Dunkin' Donuts, and she asked if I could stop and get her a donut. And a donut is what, $2?
Yeah.
And I couldn't do it. I didn't have the money to buy my daughter a donut, right? Like, so
Yeah.
unless and until these people at the top, and they never will, understand what that feels like, these are trivial things. These are playthings. When you're paying $1 plus more for a gallon of gas than you were paying 6 months ago, just driving in your car to go anywhere when you don't
Mhm.
have the means is something that's, you're like, "I can't do it. I
Yeah.
cannot do it." And they're playing games with people's lives because they don't care, because Donald Trump is the kind of sociopath, malignant narcissist who never cared, who went golfing when thousands of Americans were dying a day, and he said to Jonathan Swan at the time, when asked about that, "It is what it is." They don't care. Like,
Mhm.
this is the greatest con I've ever seen in the history of my life, Brooklyn. The fact that this billionaire, born on third base, into, lived in a gilded tower, inherited every dime he ever had, that he convinced people, working class people, that he cared about their plight, that he cared about their lives, that he wanted to truly make the things more affordable for them. Like, there's the greatest con ever pulled, because he doesn't care, and we're living inside the reality of that as we speak. It's a trauma being inflicted on the entire country and world because 70 plus million people were fooled again.
I just had to write down the word gilded
Yeah.
because that was the word I was looking for earlier when I was talking about the
Oh,
gold
yeah.
adornments, whatever.
Yeah.
I just want to share this comment before we move on to the next topic. Um, this is from Not in My Name. She said, I think this is a great comment. She says, in all seriousness, with no fertilizer coming in, best advice is to, without hoarding, build your pantry. Fall is going to be rough. Thank you so much for sharing that because I think that is
Right.
actually a very helpful bit of advice. And folks, if you're in the chat right now, please feel free to add any suggestions that you might have because there are real people who are like, this is not just like this is not just an existential discussion. These are things that are going to make or break people in the next 6 to 9 months. Like, people are really literally trying to figure out, how am I going to afford this? How am I going to afford that? So that is an excellent suggestion.
It
Keep
is a good suggestion.
those comments coming in the replies. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and
Um,
if you have the means and you're fortunate enough, give to food pantries. Like, donate where you can because you have stuff in your cabinets. I guarantee you. I know I do now that I'm like, oh my god, that's been in there, and I'm not using that, and or go shopping. You know what I mean? Like, if you have the
yeah.
means to do it, you give to others because we're all in this together. You know,
Mhm.
when they came back from Artemis and they were talking about how they saw the Earth out there all by itself and all that black, and realizing that this is one planet that sustains us all, and that we all share this planet. It's like,
Yep.
I don't want to get like all kumbaya about it, but we do have to take care of each other, especially now when things are going to get really dark and really scary for a lot of folks who have, people who depend on them too.
Look at this one here. Why can't I share it? It's
Yeah, planting a
hang on.
garden is another great idea.
Have a way to purify water is actually clever. I hadn't even thought of that. Um,
No.
the other day, I literally bought I bought a bunch of bottles of water just because
Mm-hmm.
that's a certain sort of thing you like to have just in case. Like, I do have, like, just in case stuff, cans of food,
Yeah.
just in case. I don't like to be caught out there.
No.
But speaking of caught out there,
Oh.
not one but two members of Congress yesterday, uh, Tony Gonzales and Eric Swalwell, um, both resigned from Congress as a result of a pretty intense pressure campaign, not on both, but on Eric Swalwell. And
Mm-hmm.
this thing unfolded really quickly. I feel like the first I had seen of it was Friday, and I thought it was suspicious because of the timing. And then by the time Sunday rolled around, like, there were a lot of people coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, also,
Yeah.
yeah." So I know you have some very strong feelings about this, Joe. I want to get your perspective on first on Eric Swalwell. Let's just deal with Eric Swalwell because he's a member of our party. He's somebody that people were actually kind of looking to and saying he might be a serious contender in the future for,
Mm-hmm.
higher office or whatever. So what are your thoughts about this?
Yeah. I have been very public about this. I mean, I supported Eric Swalwell. I supported his campaign for governor of California. In light of everything that's been breaking related to the allegations against him, again, there are allegations at this point. He has not been found guilty of any of these things, but I generally speaking defer to believing the women. As a survivor myself, I believe the women. I think it's important that we don't shame them because we set a bad precedent when we do that. I
Yeah.
think accountability for any kind of crime, accountability for sexual abuse is incredibly important. Clearly, again, there's a double standard here. The Democrats, largely, I believe, want to hold people accountable for allegations like this, and you saw that. You saw,
Yeah.
uh, an an outpouring of people saying the same thing, like, he
Hmm.
needs to step down, he needs to leave the race, he needs to leave Congress, there should be investigations. um he should resign. He did. And yet Gonzales has had these allegations out there.
Months.
Right. Well,
wasn't
right.
it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, if we're talking about standards here of accountability, which we should be, don't forget that the top of this rotten fish is someone who has not just been alleged to have committed sexual crimes. He was found liable by a jury of his own peers, some of whom cited Tim Pool as their news source. Trump voters, among them, said he was liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. Okay? Like,
right.
It's not alleged. We don't have to speculate. We don't need an investigation. This is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Republicans put him back in the Oval Office after this came out, after he was found liable of this. They also put him in the Oval Office after he publicly bragged about committing acts of sexual violence, when he said you grab them by the pussy, you don't wait, you just that's sexual assault. We've got 28 plus women who have alleged things like Swalwell's alleged victims about Donald Trump. Not to mention, there are at least 4 sworn depositions in the Epstein files that we have seen, which we're still missing half of, that pertain sexual abuse of children at the hands of Donald Trump. If we're getting accountability here, we have to have it across the board. You can't stop with the private sector. You can't stop with members of Congress. Also, by the way, too long in the waiting for that. You can't stop. You can't say some victims, some survivors deserve justice while others don't. It has to be across the board. You can't have a double standard. And I'm really sick and tired of these pearl-clutching Republicans looking at Eric Swalwell and any Democrats who ever supported Eric Swalwell and saying, shame on you. How did you allow this to happen? Carolyn Levitt said that today. Shame on any Democrat.
I have a clip. Let me just thank you for bringing that up, because we're right here, Joe.
Synchronicity, baby.
Right there. Let's see. Hang on. Boom, boom, boom.
There it is.
Yeah. God damn it. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because as soon as I saw it, it infuriated me. Here.
I can't even.
For Caroline, as well as the administration in general, if I may. This past Saturday, I published a video of now former.
And let me just also point out, let me pause this to point out that Jack Posobiec, this jackass, he's only being used as a guy in the audience to serve up this bullshit.
Yep.
Okay. So
Representative,
I got your message
Swalwell,
there.
Okay.
In bed, the president's heading to Las Vegas. Well, Eric Swalwell was in Las Vegas in this video. I'm told, according to geotagging, this scandal has erupted now. Accusers coming forward, many others coming forward, as well as questions regarding his extremely close relationship with Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego. And I want to know if the administration had any comment on the fact that Senator Gallego seemed to be very vocal about wanting the release of the Epstein files, and yet when questions come to his own involvement with Eric Swalwell, he doesn't seem to want to provide anything.
Yeah, look, I think the accusations and allegations against former Representative Swalwell are despicable and disgusting. I think it's also quite plausible, as you point out, Jack, that there were many other Democrats in this town on Capitol Hill who knew about his perhaps illegal behavior, certainly his disgusting and inappropriate behavior. And why were they silent for so long? I think sitting representatives, including Mr. Gallego. And I hope that the journalists in this room will do their jobs, and the journalists on Capitol Hill will do their jobs to ask Democrats in power how they knew about such despicable behavior from one of their elected committees.
Okay. I mean, the hypocrisy, the irony is off the charts. Go.
I can't even. Okay. First of all, that woman took a job for a man that she knew had bragged about committing acts of sexual abuse. She took a job being the mouthpiece for a man who has been found liable for sexual abuse. She took a job for a man who has been accused way more times than Eric Swalwell has. Not that this is a pissing contest. She took a job to be the representative, to be the mouthpiece for that person, knowing full well the things that he was alleged to have done. So the double standard, the hypocrisy, the just audacity of her to stand there and try to put lipstick on that pig while trying to shame Democrats and Senator Gallego. And right now, we have no indication that Senator Gallego did anything wrong. They were best friends. That doesn't mean he knows what he did. That doesn't mean he was party to what he did. But if we want to talk about the people who are emboldening the people who did bad things, let's just go look at Donald Trump's cabinet. And Howard, I didn't go to Epstein's Island. I wasn't friends with him. Lutnick, okay? Like Donald Trump himself was on his plane how many times? The sheer just like double standard bullshit. It makes me want to scream. They all knew who Donald Trump was when they signed up to serve him. Thanks, Tina. It is truly mind-boggling and astounding to me. And by the way, I didn't even mention this because it slipped my mind, but the case in which he was convicted 34 times. 34 times. Do we all remember what happened in that case, with whom and how? Because it's not puritanical. I can assure you, Carolyn Levitt, he was cheating on his wife. He bragged about committing sexual violence while he was cheating on his other wife. Okay. So, or same wife. Sorry. That was both Melania. But the fact that they have the nerve to say, look at these dirty Democrats for supporting someone who's alleged to have committed acts of sexual violence when their melon-hued messiah, motherfucker, is one of the most infamous sexual predators of our lifetimes. And it's not even us guessing or alleging. There are plenty of allegations still. He's been indicted and convicted in cases involving both.
I love your colorful descriptions of melon hued.
I like similes and metaphors.
The thing that that kind of infuriated me, that what Carolyn Levitt said, and I know, Joe, you have to run, you have an appointment, but I just want to get this out, is that she alluded to other Democrats possibly knowing stuff. So they're just pulling accusations out of thin air. Why? Because they know November is going to be a rout. And they're so desperate to find any way to take someone else off the playing field. They will resort to anything. So brace yourself for those kinds of things, and question when you see something happening. It doesn't necessarily mean, like in this instance, Eric Swalwell. I was disappointed, but then when he came out and said that he apologized to his wife and his family for mistakes and judgment that he had made, I was like, there it is. So, so maybe he's not guilty of all of the accusations, but some of them. So, so that's problematic. And I'm glad that Democrats, as usual, jumped way out in front of this and said, no, get your ass out of here. They were like, you're not just exiting the governor's race. We want you out of Congress. And there was no mistake. There was no, they weren't trying to dress it up. It was what it was. And it was so fast and so furious that even Republicans were like, all right, well, I guess we got to get rid of this guy too. Like they were happy to leave Tony Gonzales's ass in there. Right.
Yeah. Oh my God. Especially with their numbers. Yeah. They 100% were willing to look the other way on horrific things that he did. And that cost a human being, tragically cost her life. But yeah, this one was like, okay, guys, well, I guess we got to clean house too. So, and never forget that Donald Trump tried to make Matt Gaetz his attorney general. You know, what we know about Matt Gaetz and the Republican ethics investigation into him. Yeah.
And it all makes sense now. At first I was questioning, like, Matt Gaetz, of all people, why him? And now I see, like, he filled his cabinet with people on their best day who could never criticize or have, they don't have the gravitas, they don't have the experience, they don't have the oomph, to have any kind of clout to push back on his worst impulses. So
True.
Matt Gaetz, like, yeah, I'm gonna pick the guy who is like the worst character to have
Yeah.
around as the head of my DOJ. And Pam Bondi was a close second, right?
Yeah, she gone now because they didn't want her to testify in front of oversight. So
Before I let you go, who's next? Who's the next person to bite the dust in the, if anybody?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Tulsi. Why?
Well, because he doesn't like women, period. Right? Like, I think he put a lot of these women. It's either her or there's a cabinet member, I can't remember her name, and I don't know what her labor, maybe the labor secretary, guys. Maybe if people know, her husband is currently embroiled in a controversy and a scandal for harassing and sexually harassing staffers on Capitol Hill. She's got a Latin last name. I cannot remember her name.
Labor secretary?
I believe she's a labor secretary. I'm almost
Come on,
positive
guys, help
it is
us out
labor.
here. That my audience.
Yeah, somebody do the
is
Google.
usually pretty quick.
Her husband is currently wrapped up in allegations right now. No, Brooke Rollins is
something?
agriculture. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you're
Brooke's
right. Yeah.
agriculture. I think Brooke's not going anywhere. I think Tulsi is one of those people. I don't think she could ever really appease or satisfy his desire to make a case for foreign interference in the 2020 election to the extent that he wants it. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see Kash Patel go, but I would love to be wrong on this, but I don't think he'll be next. I think that's it. Lori Chavez
DeRemer.
Yeah. Her husband is, and she's apparently a bit of a bitch and has a bit of a problem in terms of her interactions with her own staff, and her husband has been harassing her staff. And so I think she might be a liability if they put enough pressure. But I think Tulsi will be the next one to go.
Interesting. Joe, I want to thank you. Thank you again for joining me. It's always a blast. I think I will see you tomorrow, right?
See you tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah. We will see each other tomorrow. I'm sure we'll have 10 million more things to talk about because
it's insane.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted.
It's
but
crazy
you know what?
day.
It's having people to bounce these things off like you around and help, and people like you to help distill and unpack all of the insanity is super duper helpful. So thank you for doing what you do and for working so hard and providing a platform with the Siren Network for other creators to be able to present their own spin on things. Thank you for everything.
It's my pleasure. It's always fun to talk to you, and it makes me feel sane adjacent, and it makes me feel less alone. And I love your chat. Your viewers and your supporters are just, it's awesome. I love the interactions between them. Yeah, and I'm always happy to talk to you. We have such a good time together, and it's
Indeed.
catharsis. So yes, we will see each other tomorrow. And thank you for everything that you do. These independent voices like yours who are dialed in and pay attention and break all of this shit down into bite sizes so that everybody else can digest it and it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It's one of the ways through. So it is a public service, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So I'm grateful for you and for everybody here in your chat. Yeah, come check us out tomorrow. I think in the 4:30 p.m. Eastern hour. You can find us on YouTube on the Siren. You can find us on the sirennetwork.com, on my Twitter. And so we'll be having more conversations tomorrow.
And chair dancing.
Much chair dancing, which you're still the champion. If we were a chair dancing pair, I would definitely be the weak link there. But you sir are a chair dancing champion.
All right. So Joe, I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
I have a few things to wrap up with that I promised to discuss earlier. So be safe out there, and I'll see you mañana.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.
Okay. So where were we? We were talking about, let me throw this up here. Oops. That's not it. Let's see. Is this it? Oh, I got to put it back up. Okay, there's AOC. So my favorite thing. So JD Vance. JD Vance is a horrible person. Let's start off with that as the baseline. He's not only weird, he's not only that guy who had extreme difficulty in ordering some donuts and just having a human conversation with the guy behind the people behind the counter at the donut shop. Like, so you work here, huh? Well, yeah. What gave that away, genius? But he is also pictured here, sitting across from Pope Francis. This would be Pope Francis's last meeting with anyone, as JD Vance seems to have some kind of a curse, that is weird. Also, it's weird that whatever he does seems to be like cursed with failure, right? There is his visit to help Viktor Orban, to help boost him. And not only did Orban lose, right, but he lost spectacularly. The number of people who came out, the percentage of people who came out to vote should put shame to every American. 79% of people in Hungary came out to vote. And they blew him away. And then he went to Iran to engage in negotiations to end the Iran war. So who did he bring? Well, he himself is a failed author. He brought Trump's son-in-law, Trump's golf buddy, and a CENTCOM commander. Meanwhile, Iran stepped to the table with 4 PhDs. 4 PhDs. Oh yeah, you know what? Thank you, Frank. Earlier, I was looking for a metaphor, an analogy, and yeah, the Bad News Bears is perfect. And then last night, he was headlining an event for TPUSA, Turning Point USA, which was formerly run by Charlie Kirk, is now being run by Erica Kirk. And I think tickets were free to this thing. Tickets were free. This is a photograph. I think I have a video of this event. It's pretty embarrassing. It was only 25% full. In other words, it was 75% empty. And that picture is when this thing was already in full swing.
It doesn't bother me when he speaks on issues today, frankly, even when I disagree with how he's applying particular principles. So the most obvious example is a little bit.
Just think of how crushing that has to be. You were the second in line to the presidency, and that was the turnout. That was the turnout that he got. That is abysmal. That's pretty sad. So this person here posted, visits the Pope, Pope dies. Leads Iran negotiations, talks collapse. Flies to Hungary to prop up Orban. Orban loses in a landslide. Man's got a streak. And I love that. I love that for him, because I will never forgive him what he did to his own constituents in Ohio, Springfield, when he lobbed up that nasty, malicious lie about Haitians in Springfield eating cats and dogs. That was despicable. Absolutely despicable. And it's despicable because he knew he was lying. And he came out and admitted he was lying. So this is the guy. You will notice over the next couple of years, I am going to have a special seat reserved for ridiculing JD Vance. It's going to be a regular seat. I'm going to always be doing it consistently. I'm going to be doing it so much, people are going to stop saying that I have TDS, and they're going to accuse me of having JDDS, because in a pinch, if I had to choose between Trump staying in office, finishing out his term, or JD somehow in finding the cojones, the spine, to invoke the 25th Amendment and have him removed, I would opt for Trump to be removed, because at the end of the day, sure, JD Vance is a sociopath and he's a liar, but I don't think he is insane. Donald Trump, I don't think I don't think he's firing on all cylinders. And that matters. This is not me, TDS, Brooklyn dad. This is me, Majid Padelin, who is a father, who is a husband, who is a citizen of these United States, who doesn't want to see any harm, unnecessary harm, befall me, my friends, my loved ones, even the people that I don't know and don't give a shit about. I don't want to see any harm befall anyone. I would like to see our nation succeed, because I live here, right? You guys, you MAGAs, you think that we libs, we want to see America fail. No, just because we're criticizing America doesn't mean we want it to fail. We criticize America because we know it can do better. We know the people that represent this country can do better. We know that a guy like Pete Hegseth, who is full of macho talk and rah, 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 chest thumping, he is not right for the head of the Pentagon. He's not right. Take some other Republican, a Republican who doesn't want the spotlight, who just wants to get the job done in a sane and sober manner, who's not, distracted by, I got to stamp out all signs of wokeness. Come on, right? These are positions that are supposed to be non-political. Same thing with the Secretary of State. Same thing with the Attorney General of the United States, formerly held by cheerleader Pam Bondi, currently held by acting Attorney General and former defense attorney for Trump, Todd Blanche. So, I just want people who are competent in these jobs. And I think despite the fact that he is a sociopath and he is a liar, right, he's also not insane. So yeah, I would take JD Vance in a pinch, but I'm thinking about 2028. And by the time 2028 rolls around, I want JD Vance branded within an inch of his life as an incompetent buffoon with a losing streak, and he's a weirdo. That's what I want, because I think JD Vance is going to be, for all intents and purposes, the front runner. People may respect Marco Rubio. When I say people, I mean the Republican Party. They respect him, but does he stoke anything in? I don't even know if JD Vance stokes anything in people, but he's crazier than Marco Rubio. And the Republican Party seems to like crazy more than they like sane and boring and competent. So, yeah, I want to make sure JD Vance is nowhere near the nomination in 2028. I could be wrong. But and then let's wrap this up with Donald Trump's illegal war in Iran. He keeps saying, and I have a tweet here, he keeps saying that we're close, that the negotiations are close, that Iran wants these negotiations. They're desperate for these negotiations, and we're close. And I have a tweet here that has tracked how many times Donald Trump, it's by here we go, Ron Filipkowski. He says on February 6th, they want to make a deal badly. March 2nd, they want to make a deal badly. March 16th, March 24th, March 25th, April 1st, April 13th, April 14th. They want to make a deal badly. He's been saying this for 2 months. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. And nor do I think anybody should believe a word Donald Trump says. He is a proven liar. He's not even good at it. He's not even good. His lies are so easy to fact check and debunk. So he is currently blocking. He's blockading Iran's blockade. It makes no sense. Right now, it's not just oil that needs to get through, but fertilizer, but helium. Helium. When did I ever care about helium? Well, when I found out that helium is a necessary component, or necessary component in the production of computer chips. And what runs on computer chips? Everything. So, fertilizer. Who needs fertilizer? Everybody, because fertilizer goes to helping to grow food. And who needs food? Everybody, right? So, whenever I see something you've been hit by, my brain is like a smooth criminal. Don't cue me up like that, bro, because I can't resist it. This war is crazy, and it is illegal, and it is unjust. And Donald Trump in his attacks on the Pope has had other people like JD Vance and Troy, what's that guy's name? Troy Nels, basically said the equivalent of shut up and dribble, but the Pope's edition of shut up and dribble is like shut up and pray, right? Even Mike Johnson today said that that there is a provision in the Bible for war, right? Because the argument was that the Pope should stay in his lane, and then the counter argument was, well, the Pope is in his lane because all popes speak out against war. The popes tend to be anti-war. And then Mike Johnson said, well, there's a provision that calls for a just war, but this is not a just war. They've tried to justify it and rationalize it many ways until Sunday, but they've never sat down with us and said, okay, America, this is the deal, right? We bombed them in June of 2025. We did not hit the targets we needed to hit. We did not decimate the enriched uranium. We didn't fully obliterate the enriching facilities that we needed to obliterate. They didn't have that conversation with us at all, because to have that conversation, it would have been frank and it would have been honest, but it would have also admitted that they failed. And Donald Trump will never admit that he fails, even when he does fail. Like, that's why he still cannot admit, and he forbids anyone in his party to admit that he failed to win the 2020 election, despite the fact that everybody with the brain and who's got two toes in reality knows that he lost, right? But he can't admit that. And so he won't admit that he failed to hit the targets that he bombed last year. So what's the other reason? Oh, there's 45,000 people, supposedly 45,000 people, Iranians that were killed by their own government. But 2 weeks ago, it was 33,000. And 2 weeks before that, it was 22,000. So that number, it keeps going on. It keeps getting bigger the more desperate he becomes to justify his unjustifiable war. He has added to that tally of death by several thousand. He has bombed civilians indiscriminately. He is essentially a war criminal. And let's not even discuss his threat against Iran to wipe out their civilization completely. I've never seen a United States president do anything like that before, and I hope I will never, ever see it again. I think Republicans they're playing a dangerous game. They think that the American public is so stupid. Bottom line, they think that Trump supporters are so stupid, because forget about independents. They're already losing independents by many multiples of like double digits. They've lost independents. So they think that their core support, the Republican Party, is going to watch all this and say, oh, yeah, sure. We got to prevent them from having nukes, right? But this nuclear threat was imminent like 40 years ago. Benjamin Netanyahu has been pulling our chain every few years saying, oh, yeah, Iran is 2 weeks away from having a nuke. It's imminent. And he's been trying to get every American president to bomb Iran. And the only one who's stupid enough to do it was Trump this time around. So regime change. Yeah. They killed some leadership, but who'd they leave in place? The Ayatollah, the son of the previous Ayatollah, who's 30 years younger, and he is way more radical than his father ever was. And he's got less miles on his wheels. So good job. Good job. That's not regime change at all. Oil, you have not succeeded in that at all. Why? The Strait of Hormuz is closed. Why is the Strait of Hormuz still closed when you claim that you've obliterated their whole navy, that you've obliterated all their weapons, everything is obliterated? Why is Iran still in charge of the Strait of Hormuz? This is an unjust war, and there's no reason that we should have all of our armadas there and blocking the strait and affecting global oil prices and affecting prices in general. We're looking at a potential recession if this continues for much longer. So I hope it doesn't come to that, but be prepared. It just might. And so there have been some suggestions. I don't know if the suggestions have continued in the chat here. Let's see. Are we sick of the failing yet? Man, I've been sick of it since January 22nd. January 21st, Donald Trump said on day one, he would lower all of the prices. I got news for you guys. He didn't lower any prices. He raised them. And I think his goal, actually, I think he realized that he made such a dumb promise that he is going to have to raise the prices so high that whoever has the misfortune of following behind him is going to have a disaster on their hands. And I guess he's assuming that it will be a Democrat. And Democrats, we tend to step in to clean up the messes of the previous administration anyway. That is historical fact. We create jobs. Donald Trump has been a disaster in jobs. You name it. So yeah, he is intentionally obliterating the U.S. economy. They're saying the opposite. They're saying, oh yeah, by summer, by September, by next year, we're going to have lower prices. Gas with a 3 in front of it. Oh, so no more $2 gas, huh? Forget about $2 gas. Now it's $3 gas. See where they keep moving the goalposts, and they assume that the American voter, that citizens are too stupid to notice. Pay attention, folks. So let me see. Do you guys have any questions for me before I ski-daddle? Trump Reaper says $6.89 a gallon. That is Insane. Meredith Powell says, rising gas prices own the libs, winning. Yes. Watcher Soko says she can hardly afford to drive anymore. That is a reality for a lot of Americans. That's awful. Some people are having to choose between filling up the tank and a meal. Have I seen any good movies lately? Yeah, I did see that movie, Crime 101. I don't remember if I talked about that on this show. It's that movie with Chris Hemsworth where he's a crook. He's not a crook, he's a thief. That distinction. And but he's a kind of thief who pulls off these jobs that never ends up hurting anybody, right? So they're nonviolent. And Halle Berry is in this movie, and can't remember who else is in it, but it's excellent. It's an excellent flick. If you like heist kind of movies, there's some double crossing, and it's good. It's a good flick. Check it out. Aside from that, I can't really think of what else I saw, because I do rewatch a lot of old movies too. Like just the other night, I rewatched The Omen. The Omen. I still love The Omen. It's a classic horror movie, very well done. This person says maybe people will finally invest in EVS. No idea what that is. Please let me know. Oh, and I still haven't seen Project Hail Mary. I still do want to see it, but guess what? Haven't seen it because I don't count that as a summer blockbuster, and I have to save up for summer blockbusters. It's just how it is. But I do want to see that. EVs, electric vehicles. Thank you. Yeah, I thought about that. But man, I got my car. My car has like 114,000 miles on it. I finished my payments on it. I don't want I don't want to inherit another, monthly payment. Who can afford that? Especially with interest rates the way they are now. You have to make serious decisions. But here's a serious decision I can share with you guys. Finally did get my got my daughter a car. Used car. It's okay. It's actually has like 118,000 miles on it, so it's not much older. It's a year older than my own car. It's good. It gets from point A to point B. She'll be able to go to and from college. She's starting college in August. Things are happening. Things are happening in Brooklyn Dad's life, and it's not all bad. Some of it is good. Got rid of a few trees in my backyard that have been losing big heavy branches. So to make sure that my wife and myself and our dog doesn't get conked on the head by a big massive branch. So that's a good thing too. Only just have my car in for basic maintenance. Wow, 290,000. What kind of car is that? Please advise what kind of car got you 290,000 miles, because that's impressive. That is very impressive. Wifey is doing well. She's recovered, I believe, 100% from the surgery. Thank you for asking. And this Sunday, I am going to the 100th birthday of my auntie. My auntie turned 100 this year. Alhamdulillah, we say, praise be to Allah. Oh, see what I just did? Brought it back from the beginning. That is the proper time, the proper usage of the phrase, praise be to Allah. When you are legitimately happy, joyful about something. I mean, she recently had an accident. She fell, so she's in a wheelchair. But prior to that, I mean, she's been energetic, and she looks good. She sounds good. Yeah. Praise be to Allah. Very, very happy. And I will get to see a whole lot of cousins, aunts, and uncles that I haven't seen for years and years and years. So I'm really looking forward to Sunday. Crypto King wants to know, will I be covering the corrupt criminal Democrats tonight like Eric Swalwell? Oh, you missed. You missed that. And how come you don't mention Tony Gonzales? Huh? Tony Gonzales, also corrupt. How come you don't mention Donald Trump? Also corrupt. You know, we can get into a what about battle. You will not win that whataboutism, just so you know. Synthetic oil changes every 5,000 miles, not the 10,000 intervals Volkswagen recommends. Oh, I didn't see. Oh, okay. Excuse me. It's a 2007 Volkswagen Passat sedan with the 2.0 T four-cylinder. This car, 290,000 miles. That is highly impressive. So thank you for that. Here's another one. Tina Bradford has a Honda Civic close to 300K miles. But we all know Honda and Toyota are like the two best cars on the market without fail. And happy early birthday to your auntie. God bless. Thank you so much for that. And folks, thank you again for joining me for another really fun episode of the Defiant Weekly. I'm your host, Majid Padelan, aka BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad Defiant. I will just say to you guys, excuse me, hold it down. Don't get too caught up in the news cycle, right? You don't have to take it all on yourself. You're not alone in this. We're all in this thing together. So we will be unpacking all of the crazy, all of the insanity. And occasionally when something big happens, I'll have an impromptu live stream and we can go over stuff. But until then, I hope to see you guys next week. Same time, same place. I love you all. Peace. Incredible person, incredible human being. Yes, we're famous. Yes.